In the headlines, Ectel works on a bill to regulate roaming rates. Housing Minister defends use of CBI funds for National Employment Program and a recommendation to governments to consider value-added initiatives to boost the agriculture industry. I am Kenny Williams with the Channel 5 News. Details after this. First up, the Eastern Caribbean Telecommunications Regulatory Authority, Ectel, is working on a bill set to regulate roaming rates. Members of Ectel's legal and regulatory team visited Dominica as part of a roadshow to present a draft electronic telecommunications bill. This bill, expected to replace the Telecommunications Act passed in the year 2000, places emphasis on open competition and consumer protection.
We expect to have something maybe at the end of May. We should have a document out, and that document will be looking more or less at the pricing of roaming. And again, as we said, there's still going to be a process. The intention is to have these bills before our member states by the end of this year at the latest. But as we said, sometimes those things take a little longer. But hopefully by the end of May, we should have a document out for discussion with regards to how roaming should be priced. We've already looked at some of the rules around roaming, and that document has already been consulted on. But now we move into the next step, which is about the pricing.
It is hoped that the Ectel effort at dealing with roaming can spread CARICOM-wide.
Because Ectel has jurisdiction over the 5 member states, what we are now proposing is that among the 5 Ectel member states, we have that level of cooperation so that if a Dominican goes to St. Lucia, or if a St. Lucian comes to Dominica, there will be rules about how they will be charged for roaming. And what we are hoping is that once that gets going, because there's also talk about having roaming at the CARICOM level, that will also spur other CARICOM countries to come on board.
Other lead stories: the positive impact of the National Employment Program on Dominica's young people was one of the main points raised in a presentation at a recent town hall meeting. The use of CBI funds by government to pay salaries of employees under the NEP has drawn some criticism locally, but government officials are of the view that investment in the training and employment of young, qualified and unemployed Dominicans is a win-win situation as it creates opportunities for them to earn a sustainable living.
We're paying teachers, we're paying firemen. Why can't we find some money to pay our young people to put them on the job? Because we keep criticizing our young people all the time. We keep calling them worthless and useless because the economy cannot afford to absorb them on the employment line. And so the government has a responsibility to use some of its resources to take care of some of the issues of your children and the young people. And since that program has started, you're seeing less and less young people on the streets of our villages. They have their rakes, they have their cutlasses, they have their fish pots, they have their fishing nets, and they're going out there to get gainfully employed in economic activities in the country and in the society.
Austria says opposition attacks on the CBI program have necessitated town hall meetings which seek to reassure the people about the program's authenticity. Economist McCarthy Marie has cautioned government to put aside some of the funds from its Citizenship by Investment program and not spend all of it. Marie says he does not think it wise for government to use CBI funds to take care of its daily expenses.
I think basically the guy from the central bank, the governor of the central bank, his proposal is the correct one, is that it shouldn't be used to pay running expenses of the government like civil service salaries and so on, but it should be used to set a platform for sustainable development long term. So I think the government is kind of doing that in the sense that they're spending a lot of it on infrastructure, like repairing the roads, the bridges, etc. And then, of course, we need to, like any prudent person who has income, always put aside a certain amount for savings, because you never know what's going to happen, later, that you might need a sudden burst of money to do something urgent. Yeah, so we shouldn't spend all of it. We should save some of it.
Marie shared his position on the IMF findings, which highlighted the need for the country to adopt timely implementation of measures and use of deposits to reduce its debt.
For you to pay down your debt, you must have income. And for the time being, the only income you can say we really have of really large volume is from the CBI program. Now the CBI program, you can use it to pay down the debt, but that would mean if no investment, etc., comes in so that you have more tax revenue, you're going to have to borrow again. It will just be a temporary reduction of the debt and not a sustainable reduction of the debt. Otherwise, the economy just grinds to a halt.
Chargé d'Affaires of the Brazilian Embassy, Arnaldo Salbert, is giving the assurance his country is conducting thorough investigations into the current rotten meat controversy. A number of meat processing companies in Brazil are under investigation for the sale of poor quality meat and meat products produced in the country. As a result, several countries, including Dominica, placed a ban on chicken nuggets and corned beef imported from Brazil.
The day or the days after this news spread, what I can say is that the Brazilian meat exports were something like $50 million a day, and it dropped to $74,000 in one day. But our Minister of Agriculture, he said the worst is already behind, because now the countries that imposed a ban on Brazilian meat, now they understand that not all companies were subject to this investigation.
He explained the situation is isolated and a number of countries, including Jamaica, have lifted their ban on Brazilian corned beef.
Very recently, I mean yesterday, at least 3 countries lifted the ban, which were Egypt, Chile, and China, because they agreed that among 5,000 companies in Brazil that process meat, only 21 were under investigation. So it's a very limited number of companies that were under investigation, only 21. And especially in the case of the ban for corned beef in Dominica, what I can say is that there was a communiqué, a press release from an importing company in Jamaica that was published here. And they said that there was no investigation about corned beef, only about meat without processing. And especially their suppliers in Brazil were not among these 21 companies that were under investigation.
In 2015, Dominica imported $1.2 million worth of corned beef from 8 countries, including Brazil. That figure declined to $611,402 worth of corned beef imports in 2016 from 6 countries, but Brazil was not among them. The official launch of the blast by Dominica National Lotteries on Wednesday means lottery players now have access to electronic gaming terminals. Patrons will now have access to tamper-resistant terminals around the country, which will feature high-security locks. The machines, which are able to detect counterfeit notes, come in various sizes.
The terminals will remind you when you've been on them for a bit too long. So they're pop-up reminders to let you know how long you've been participating. Recommendations that it's time that you cash out. Cash-in limits, so you can actually, as a gamer, if you believe that this is something that you want to avail yourself of, can set a limit as to how much you're prepared to spend, and the machine will let you know when that limit has been attained.
As entertaining as this game promises to be, there are limits in terms of who will have access, and those who qualify must also remember to participate responsibly.
It's clearly identified. This is for participants 18 years and older. And it basically forms part of all the messaging where the new logo appears. Anytime you see the Blast logo, you will see that consistent message. Must be 18 years and over to participate in gaming. Even the tagline that we've chosen reinforces the responsible gaming approach. Know your limit, play within it. Essentially what we're saying is it's entertainment, but you as the individual has to understand how much you're willing to invest in order to have a bit of entertainment and where your limit ends.
The lottery business in Dominica has come a long way from the days of scratch games. In 1993, Canadian banknotes came in, resulting in further expansion of the National Lottery's offerings to include the Abarzo system in 2010.
A few years prior to this launch, there were other persons knocking on our door, the lottery's door, to provide VLTs. But eventually, February last year, the Directorate of CBN, with responsibilities for the lottery division, agreed that, yes, VLTs will come to Dominica. It is indeed a significant investment and growth for the lottery. So we have evolved from scratch into a number of games.
Coming up, new measures to improve waste management in the country. Welcome back. Parliamentary Representative for Roseau Central, economist Joseph Isaac, is recommending government consider value-added initiatives as an answer to boosting the agriculture industry. Isaac's advice comes in response to a recent IMF report on the country's weak economic activity last year, citing capacity constraints and unfavorable weather conditions as contributing factors. He addressed the matter at the recent Manufacturers Association AGM.
Although I'm not the Minister of Enterprise Development and Small Business Development, I would like to respectfully advise and make recommendations, bearing in mind the background of the IMF report, which it is pointing towards a direction where we as a country need to look at uplifting the productive sector, of which the manufacturing sector is one of them. Also, in the backdrop of the ECCU Monetary Council goal, just set less than a month ago, of 5% growth per year for the different islands. In seeking to attain our true economic potential, I think we should diversify the economy through innovative means and nurturing the infant industries which we currently have. I think we should focus on value-added initiatives.
The IMF's finding indicated that the external balance is projected to gradually improve as agriculture, tourism and manufacturing recover and geothermal electricity generation reduces oil imports. External balance is a situation in which the money a country earns from exports is roughly equal to the money it spends on imports. The IMF mission chief to Dominica, Alejandro Gerson, said improving conditions for private investment here, especially for export activities, is the key to accelerating economic growth. Isaac says he supports import substitution business initiatives as the way to reduce imports. Next up, formal collaboration on development matters between developing countries or South-South cooperation is being praised by Brazil as a win-win situation. Chargé d'Affaires at the Brazilian Embassy, Arnaldo Salbert, was speaking at the opening ceremony of a water resources management workshop on Monday. The workshop, geared at enhancing the capacity of local and regional water technicians, is as a result of cooperation agreements between Dominica and Brazil. It is being facilitated by the Brazilian National Water Agency with funding provided by the Brazilian International Agency for Technical Cooperation.
In Brazil, we strongly believe in South-South cooperation. We believe developing countries should work together to overcome their difficulties. We must make every effort to share knowledge, skills, expertise, and resources to meet our goals. This workshop is a wonderful example of how it can be done through technology transfer and sharing of solutions. There are clear benefits of this cooperation: to develop a technology more adapted to our needs, to our climates, and to our realities, to help each other in relevant scientific research, and especially to increase the confidence in our own capacities. Against all odds, our collective efforts will lead to a greater degree of participation in international economic activities, and it will promote the well-being of our nations. That's why South-South cooperation is so important.
Meantime, Foreign Affairs and CARICOM Affairs Minister Francine Barron praised Brazil's role in water resource management and thanked the resource-rich country for partnering with Dominica in that regard.
Collaboration in water resources management is one of the key domains in the Memorandum of Understanding signed between the governments of Dominica and Brazil. And we are pleased to share with, as well as tap into, the knowledge and experience of this renowned entity. As you are no doubt aware, Brazil is perhaps the world's richest country when it comes to fresh water. Yet that country is known for its expertise in an approach to water resources management that allows all interest groups to feel that they have a stake in the management of the nation's water resources. More than that, under the aegis of its program of accelerated growth, Brazil has allocated US $25 billion to ensuring a significant reduction in inequality of access.
In other news, the health landscape in Dominica is getting set to see significant change in the near future. This with the possible creation of another health district, which will bring the tally of districts to 8. Speaking at a recent town hall meeting, Minister for Health Dr. Kenneth Daru said the Kalinago territory could be declared its own health district if research and reports favor that development.
I've already mandated a team of 2 to put together what I call a file, a dossier, because we have to be advised. It's not just a simple matter to just announcing, okay, the Kalinago can be declared a health district. We have logistics to put in place. We have to deliver the human resource. There's going to be a cost. Is the Salibia Health Center as is it designed to be a type 3 health center? Because each health district has to have what they call a type 3 health center, which is a main health center, and there are certain basic things, basic facilities, basic staff that have to be put in place before it can be declared a type 3 health center. So we're looking at the logistics, the cost, and I've already gotten the reassurance from the Minister of Finance, of course, who holds the country's purse strings and whose word matters, because he's the one who now has to approve the funds. And we've already gotten the assurance and commitment from the Minister of Finance.
The health minister pointed out that the establishment of a health district for the Kalinago territory will augur well for the residents of the area.
We, of course, recognize the difficulty in terms of half of your residents having to go to Marigot, the other half belonging to the Castle Bruce, and nowhere to call your own. We think that the Kalinago people are important enough, have made a tremendous contribution toward the country's development and history to have their own health district. So rest assured, before my term is over, I'm pretty sure that things will be put in place to declare the Kalinago or Salibia Health District.
Roseau, Grand Bay, Portsmouth, Marigot, Castle Bruce, St. Joseph and La Plaine make up the existing health districts. And Dominica's efforts at better managing its waste will see a notable improvement and some source of income with the commission of a PET shredder in the near future. A PET shredder is a machine used to recycle plastic bottles. This shredder is considered the best solution for plastic container recycling of all types. Manager of the Dominica Solid Waste Management Corporation, Florian Mitchell, says the shredder will greatly help with waste management at the landfill.
On site, we have a plastic shredder, basically for PET, which is all plastic containers. We're hoping by the end of this month, the plant should be fully launched, and all the plastics that has been collected over the years, it will be shredded and exported. And that project is just an ongoing project. So the plastic that you're giving us from your home, it is not going to go to the landfill. It's going to be put somewhere, and then it's going to be shredded, and it's going to be exported. So that is a good strategy that we'll see the benefits of in the not-too-distant future.
Mitchell says staff is being trained on how to use this piece of equipment before its official debut.
It's been on our facility for a while. We had an issue with the electrical system, so we had to set up the plant to support it. Then we had to upgrade the electricity coming to that plant, and then Domlec did that at their own cost. So it's a lot of public-private partnership in ensuring that that project is where it is today. And we little try, as anything, you want to ensure that your staff is fully trained, so you don't want when you have this thing going, then your staff don't know what to do. So we going along, training staff, trying the components, making sure everybody understands what needs to be done, how it's supposed to be operated.
The PET shredder was donated to the Dominica Solid Waste Management Corporation by Josephine Gabriel and Company Limited. That's the news. Sports highlights next. We begin with football, where the DFA has flexed its disciplinary muscles towards a player of the Rachel's Point Michelle team following a recent brawl in the Division 1 league.
Tafarai Eli of Rachel's Point Michelle Football Club has been suspended from all activities organized under the auspices of the Dominica Football Association with immediate effect pending the outcome of a hearing by the disciplinary committee. Eli was involved in a brawl on Friday, 10th March 2017 during a Division 1 league match between Rachel's Point Michelle and Mao Soka Strikers at the Pori playing field.
Meantime, over 20 coaches will get an opportunity to further their skills and be regionally and internationally certified in keeping with the DFA's club licensing initiative.
A total of 27 coaches will get the opportunity to upgrade their coaching skills and to receive regional and international certification. That is when the Dominica Football Association, in collaboration with CONCACAF, staged a 4-day CONCACAF D-license coaching course. The course, which will be conducted by FIFA instructor Anton Cornell, will run from 3rd to 6th April 2017 at the Football House in Bath Estate. The sessions will run from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. each day, and coaches will be engaged in theoretical as well as practical sessions. This coaching course is keeping in line with the DFA's club licensing initiative, where all clubs must have a licensed coach on the sidelines.
In basketball, Dominica State College defeated Pierre Charles Secondary 93-24 in the Sports Division Secondary School Girls Championships on Tuesday. For DSC, we had Kyla Winston with 30 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists, and Romelcia Phillip 30 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 steals. In a losing effort, Natura Francis scored 11 points and 8 rebounds for PSS. The competition continues next week. Back with more football, Dominica Grammar School stated their dominance when they hammered Convent High School 14-0 in the only game played in the DFA Sports Division Secondary School Girls League on Tuesday. Ariel Rogers registered a beaver trick, with Jean Seraphine getting a hat-trick and Janaya Bell 2. Single goals came from Jada St. Jean and Genevieve Dyer. Next up, Dominica's finest school-level track and field athletes will be showcased over 2 days when the sports division unfolds the secondary schools athletic championships on Thursday and Friday at Windsor Park Sports Stadium. The meet will begin at 9:30 with an opening ceremony with remarks from the president of the Dominica Amateur Athletics Association and sports coordinator. Friday's games will commence at 1 p.m. and continue under the lights. The 2 days will feature the traditional jump, throw, and running competitions among 15 registered schools. Dominica Grammar School is the defending male and female champions. In primary schools football, there were wins for the Grand Four, Roosevelt Douglas, St. Mary's, and Goodwill Primary Schools in the National Bank of Dominica Sports Division Schools Football Championships on Tuesday. Grand Four hammered Casa Bruce 10-1, with RDPS claiming an easy 6-1 win over Roseau Primary. Matches between SMP and the W.S. Stevens ended 1-0, while Goodwill Primary went down to Calabishi 4-2. This means that RDPS will face Grand Four and Calabishi will come up against SMP in Tuesday's semi-final. On to cricket, West Indies will be looking for better results when they take on Pakistan for the second T20 International on Thursday. Previously, the home side went down to the visitors by 6 wickets with 17 balls remaining. Scores from that encounter: West Indies 111 for 8, Pakistan 115 for 4 in 14.1 overs. In related news, some of the outstanding cricketing talent from the just-ended Massey United Insurance Sports Division Under-20 Cricket League will get a chance to represent Dominica at the Under-19 level.
And we need to compliment you guys, and we look forward to you continuing in your development. We don't want you to stop there. We want you to continue. And most of you who have displayed some top performances will be selected to be part of the Dominica's Under-19 team training. And we would appreciate if you would carry the same level of enthusiasm that you show while participating for your school. We want to see you carry that across when you are representing the national under-19 team.
And on the international scene, we can tell you that a rain-affected fifth day resulted in a draw of the third South Africa versus New Zealand test on Wednesday. Final scores from that match: South Africa 314 and 80 for 5, New Zealand 489 all out in 162.1 overs. Despite the drawn match, South Africa led the series 1-0. New Zealand skipper Kane Williamson was awarded player of the match. Meantime, West Indies and Afghanistan are scheduled to play a bilateral series, including 3 T20s and 3 ODIs, beginning in the first week of June. The series will be played concurrently with the Champions Trophy, which begins on June 1 in England. West Indies haven't won a bilateral ODI series since 2014. All 3 T20s will be played at Warner Park in St. Kitts beginning from June 2. The ODIs, all of which will be played at the Darren Sammy National Cricket Stadium in St. Lucia, will begin a week later on June 9. West Indies will be hoping to bump up the ODI rankings, since only the top 8 teams as of September end this year will gain automatic qualification for the 2019 World Cup. West Indies is currently in the 8th position. They lost their last ODI series 3-0 to England earlier this month and have 3 more coming up against Pakistan in April. West Indies and Afghanistan have never played an ODI against each other, and the last time they squared up in a T20, Afghanistan won by 6 runs in a league match in the World T20 last year. The upcoming 3 T20s will start at 7 p.m. and the day-night ODIs will start at 2:30 p.m. That's all the sporting highlights for now. Join us next time. We check in now with the Met Office for the latest weather update.
Good evening, viewers. Welcome to tonight's weather broadcast. I am Janelle Macpherson. Weak unstable conditions continue to be the dominant feature, resulting in some multi-layered clouds across the southern portion of the region today. Visible satellite imagery showed cloudy skies across Dominica this afternoon. Radar imagery indicated a few scattered showers across parts of the island chain today. The weather for tonight: partly cloudy to occasionally cloudy with some brief scattered showers. Tomorrow, partly cloudy skies and a few brief scattered showers are expected. Seas tomorrow: slight to moderate waves up to 5 feet. Looking ahead for the next 3 days, expect partly cloudy skies and a few scattered showers. Throughout the Caribbean tomorrow, weak unstable conditions will continue to produce partly cloudy to occasionally cloudy skies and widely scattered showers. On the international cities forecast, partly cloudy conditions expected in Miami, London and Beijing. Clear skies are forecasted for New York and thunderstorm activity in Caracas. Sunrise tomorrow at 6:02 a.m. and sunset at 6:18 p.m. For up-to-date weather information, please call our weather hotline at 447-5555 or visit our website at weather.gov.dm. Thank you for viewing and have a good night.
To end the news, the headlines again. ECTEL works on a bill to regulate roaming rates. Housing Minister defends use of CBI funds for National Employment Program, and a recommendation to government to consider value-added initiatives to boost the agriculture industry. Feel free to contact us at news@mapin2k4.com. You can also access our past newscasts on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the entire production team, I am Kenny Williams. To our viewers around the world, thank you for watching. Join us tomorrow.